This 16-year-old just ran so fast that he broke a record that stood for 15 years. And now, Australia's biggest sprint star has some serious competition. His name is Uwezo Lubenda. Last Friday at the Queensland State Championships, this teenager did something nobody expected. He ran 100 meters in just 10.35 seconds. To put that in perspective, that's faster than most Olympic athletes were running at his age. The previous record for 16-year-olds at this championship was 10.73 seconds. That record was set back in 2010 by a runner named Hugh Donovan. For 15 years, nobody could beat it. But Uwezo didn't just beat it, he destroyed it by almost half a second. Before this race, Uwezo's personal best was 10.42 seconds, so he just improved his own time and smashed a 15-year-old record all in one race. When the race started, Uwezo exploded out of the blocks. He took the lead immediately and just kept pulling away from everyone else. By the time he crossed the finish line, he had a huge gap between him and the other runners. After the race, a former Olympic runner named Paul DiBella gave Uwezo his gold medal. DiBella competed for Australia at the 2000 Sydney Olympics and the 2004 Athens Olympics, so getting a medal from someone like that made the moment even more special. When reporters asked Uwezo how he felt, he said, "Man, I feel amazing. I was kind of hoping for a time like that, and I wasn't thinking too much about it, but I'm really grateful." He explained what was going through his mind during the race. "I had to make sure I composed myself and thought about what I had to do. My coach told me to just get into it, do what you'd normally be doing and don't change anything. That's about it. Everything went smoothly, everything went according to plan." Now, if you follow sprinting, you've probably heard of another Australian teenager named Gout Gout. He's been called the next Usain Bolt, and for good reason. At just 17 years old, Gout has already competed at the World Championships in Tokyo. He made it to the semifinals of the 200 meters, which is incredibly impressive for someone his age. Gout holds the Oceanian record for the 200 meters with a time of 20.02 seconds. He's broken multiple national records, and he even broke the 10-second barrier in the 100 meters twice in one day. Everyone in Australia knows who Gout Gout is. So why does Uwezo's run matter so much? Because when Gout was 16 years old, his best 100-meter time was 10.17 seconds. He ran that time last December at the National School Championships, just 3 weeks before he turned 17. Uwezo just ran 10.35 seconds. That's only 0.18 seconds slower than what Gout ran at the same age. Both are from Queensland, Australia. Both are teenagers with incredible speed, and both are on very similar paths. Here's something else that shows just how fast Uwezo is. His time of 10.35 seconds would have been fast enough to get past the first round at this year's World Championships. Think about that. A 16-year-old kid from Townsville just ran a time that could compete with adults at the biggest track meet in the world. So, who exactly is Uwezo Lubenda? He was born in Mozambique in 2009. When he was just 4 years old, his family moved to Australia. That was back in 2013. Now, he's a Year 11 student at Calvary Christian College in Townsville, which is in northern Queensland. Last year, Uwezo became the first 15-year-old in North Queensland history to run faster than 11 seconds in the 100 meters. He ran 10.80 seconds at the North Queensland Championships. People noticed him then, but he was still relatively unknown outside his local area. This weekend, Uwezo is competing in the 200 meters at the same championship. His personal best in that race is 21.88 seconds. Then in December, he'll compete at the National Championships. If he runs anywhere close to what he just did in the 100 meters, everyone in Australia will know his name. But Uwezo isn't just thinking about the next few months. He's thinking about something much bigger. The 2032 Olympics. Those games are going to be held in Brisbane, Australia. That's his home country. And Uwezo has his eyes locked on that goal. Last year, he told reporters, "My goal is 2032 Brisbane. I've got my eyes on that. I'll be 23 or 24, so I'll be in my prime as a sprinter." He also talked about how much he's improved. "It's inspiring me a lot to see that I've improved from the past. In the past, I wasn't the best, but I'm starting to have more confidence as I'm improving more. Last year the races were close, but this year I'm seeing a big difference. I'm waiting to improve more so I can be better next year." You can hear the confidence in his words, but it's not cockiness. It's the confidence of someone who knows they're getting better and has a clear goal in mind. And guess who else is targeting the 2032 Brisbane Olympics? Gout Gout. So in 7 years, these two might be competing against each other on home soil in front of Australian fans. That's the kind of rivalry that makes the Olympics special. Gout has already made a big name for himself. He signed a major deal with Adidas, which gives him the money to travel and train without worrying about getting a part-time job. In an interview with GQ magazine, Gout said, "It was crazy. The number kept getting higher, and I realized how much these companies think I'm worth." He explained how important that sponsorship is. That sponsorship really helps you get to the next level because obviously you need the money to travel and to train, especially since I'm at school. So I don't need to go and find a job at Macca's or whatever to put fuel in my car. It definitely helps a lot. Gout has been smart with his money too. He said, "Long term, I'd like to set myself up and set my family up. I've saved a lot and I bought myself a new car when I got my PS, so that's probably the biggest purchase I've made so far. I haven't gone crazy." Gout's family moved to Australia from Sudan about 20 years ago. Now he's one of the most exciting young athletes in the country. And with Uwezo emerging as another incredible talent, Australia suddenly has 2 teenage sprint sensations. There's even a third young Australian sprinter named Lachlan Kennedy who's also turning heads. The future of Australian sprinting looks brighter than it has in years. What makes Uwezo's story even more interesting is how unknown he was just a few days ago. Most people had never heard of him, but one race changed everything. That's the beauty of track and field. One performance can put you on the map. When Gout was 14, he ran 10.57 seconds. At 15, he ran 10.50, 10.48, and 10.43. At 16, he ran 10.50, 10.48, and 10.43, 10.31, 10.29, and 10.17. You can see the steady improvement. He got faster every single year. Uwezo is following a very similar pattern, and if he keeps improving at this rate, there's no telling how fast he could eventually run. The really interesting thing is that Uwezo broke a record that even Gout didn't break. The Queensland State Championship record for 16-year-olds was 10.73 seconds. Gout never competed at that specific championship at that age, so the record stood. Until now. Both of these young men are being compared to Usain Bolt. That's a huge comparison. Bolt is the greatest sprinter of all time. He holds the world records in both the 100 meters and 200 meters. Those records have stood since 2009. Nobody has come close to breaking them. But when people see teenagers like Gout and Uwezo running these kinds of times, they start to wonder, could one of them be the next person to challenge those records? It's way too early to say, but the talent is definitely there. The 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles are just 3 years away. Gout will be 20 years old. Uwezo will be 19. Both will likely be competing at those games if they stay healthy and keep improving. Then 4 years later, they'll have the chance to compete in front of their home crowd in Brisbane. Australian track fans have something really special to look forward to. 2 homegrown sprint talents who could dominate on the world stage, and they're pushing each other to be better.
It's all about getting everything right. You know what I mean? It's never just easy. It's always easier when you're younger because I was there. I used to do great things when I was young, but...
Gout Gout, the kid who runs faster than almost anyone his age, just told the world where he's racing next, and it's going to be massive. Gout Gout is heading to the Commonwealth Games, and everyone needs to pay attention. So here's what happened. For a while, people thought Gout would skip the Commonwealth Games in 2026 because he wanted to focus on the World Junior Championships in America. Those championships happen in August, and Gout really wants to do something special there. He wants to copy what Usain Bolt did back in 2002 when Bolt won the under 2.0 title in the 200 meters, but now everything has changed. Gout's manager James Templeton just confirmed the big news. He said, "We are planning that Gout will be available to run at an event in Glasgow before going on to the World Juniors in Eugene." That means Gout is doing both competitions. He'll race at the Commonwealth Games first, then fly to America for the Junior Championships right after. This is huge for Australia. Petria Thomas is in charge of Australia's team at the Commonwealth Games, and she's super excited. She told reporters, "It's very exciting when our best athletes publicly announce their intention to be at the Games." She also said that while athletes still need to qualify officially, it's really great when the best people want to compete. Now let's talk about who Gout Gout actually is, because this teenager is breaking records left and right. He's only 17 years old and still in high school. He lives in Ipswich, which is in Queensland, Australia. His parents are from South Sudan and moved to Australia back in 2005. So, Gout was born in Australia, and now he's becoming one of the fastest teenagers on the entire planet. Here's how fast Gout runs. His best time in the 200 meters is 20.02 seconds. He set that record in Czech Republic at a race called the Ostrava Golden Spike Meet.
Gout Gout, now he's got a target. Menya moving away from him, Morizzi in the headband. A battle between these two, and Gout working so hard to get to him, and he gets there. Gout takes it by a meter and moving away, 20.04.
That time broke an Australian record that stood for 56 years. A guy named Peter Norman held the old record at 20.06 seconds since 1968. That's a really long time ago. Norman actually won a silver medal at the Olympics that year. To understand how crazy fast that is, Gout is now the second fastest under 1.8 runner ever in the 200 meters. Only one American kid named Arian Knighton has run faster at that age. Knighton ran 19.84 seconds when he was 17. And here's the really cool part. When Usain Bolt was 16 years old, he ran the 200 meters in 20.13 seconds. Gout is already faster than young Bolt was. Gout actually ran even faster one time. He hit 19.98 seconds earlier this year, which would break the 20-second barrier. But that time doesn't count as official because the wind was helping him too much that day. Still, it shows what he can do. When he's not running, Gout is just a normal teenager. He shares a bedroom with his older brother. He loves eating burgers and pizza. His favorite drink is peach iced tea. He plays video games like Fortnite, Minecraft, and Zelda. He calls himself a hard gamer and says he was gaming before he started running track. He also spends a lot of time on TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat, just like most teenagers. But when someone asked what irritates him, he couldn't really think of anything. Finally, he said, probably exams. That's because he's still in year 12 at school, which is like senior year in America. He has to take big tests called HSC exams while also training to be one of the fastest people in the world. He's even thinking about studying psychology at university after he finishes school. Now let's get to the Commonwealth Games details. These games are happening in Glasgow, Scotland from July 23rd to August 2nd in 2026. That's 10 days of competition. The games almost didn't happen at all. The Australian state of Victoria was supposed to host them, but they backed out. Then Glasgow saved the day and agreed to host a smaller version of the games. Only 10 sports will be at these games instead of the usual 19. They had to cut sports like cricket, hockey, rugby sevens, and diving to save money. About 3,000 athletes will compete for 215 gold medals. It's a lot smaller than before, but it's still going to be exciting. The big question everyone wants answered is when exactly will Gout race? Well, the schedule just came out. The 100-meter final is scheduled for Tuesday, July 28th. Then the 200-meter final, which is Gout's favorite race, happens on Friday, July 31st. That's the race everyone will be watching. The 200 meters is what Gout calls his pet event. That means it's his best race and the one he loves most. The final will happen at a stadium called Scotstoun. If Gout runs at the Commonwealth Games, he'll be doing something Usain Bolt never did. Bolt never ran an individual race at the Commonwealth Games. He only competed once in Glasgow back in 2014, and that was in the 4x 100-meter relay with the Jamaican team. They won gold. But Bolt never ran the 100 or 200 meters by himself at these games. Australia is really counting on Gout to help them win lots of medals. Australia has topped the medal count at 8 of the last 9 Commonwealth Games going back to 1990. Craig Phillips runs Commonwealth Games Australia, and he said, "We have ambitions to remain top of the medal tally, which is a stated ambition of ours all the time." Even though this is a smaller games with fewer sports, Australia still wants to finish first. Australia should win a ton of swimming medals. Big names like Ariarne, Titmus, and Kaylee McEwen might compete. They both won gold medals at the Olympics. Australia is also going for back-to-back gold medals in netball, so having Gout compete just makes their medal chances even better. Let's talk about what happened at the World Championships in Tokyo just recently. This was Gout's first time competing at a major championship with all the world's best adults. He was only 17, still in high school, walking into a stadium full of Olympic champions and world record holders. Before the races started, Gout had to do a big press conference. More than 24 journalists and TV crews showed up just to talk to him. He seemed really nervous at first. When he walked out to face all the cameras, he put his hand in his pocket and gave an awkward smile. The person hosting even said it's a long walk to make him feel better. But once Gout started talking, he relaxed. He explained how his family came from South Sudan to Australia. He talked about how he has to be patient even though he's getting famous really fast. He said, things don't happen overnight, like, I'm only 17. He also said he wants to be someone who started off as a nobody and became someone really, really good. When the press conference ended, the CEO of Adidas, which is Gout's sponsor, came over and hugged him. He told Gout, well done. A guy from Adidas named Spencer Nell called Gout a precociously special talent and a fine young man. Then came race day. Gout ran his first heat on Wednesday and finished in 20.23 seconds. That was fast enough to move to the semifinals. The semifinals happened the next day on Thursday, September 18th. Gout ran in the second semifinal and finished fourth with a time of 20.36 seconds. Unfortunately, that wasn't fast enough to make the final. Only the top 3 from each semifinal automatically moved on, plus the next 2 fastest times overall. Gout just missed it.
What do you make of him as a 17-year-old?
I mean, more talented than I was. He's an amazing kid. You know, you got a great head on him. You got a great team around him. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how he develops. You know, the thing that I always look for when I'm looking at younger talent is, hey, are you just going to be able to train into shape, one? Because when you're in high school, you're able to just get like races all the time whenever you want.
But here's the thing. It had been raining earlier that day, so the track conditions weren't great, and Gout was still happy with how he did. He told reporters it was a great race. Being able to come out here in a semifinal and do my thing is pretty incredible. He also said, I'm happy to be here and just excited. So what's next for Gout? First, he needs to finish his school exams, then he'll keep training for the Commonwealth Games. On July 31st, 2026, he'll step onto the track in Glasgow for the 200-meter final. The whole world will be watching to see if this 18-year-old can win gold and maybe even break his own Australian record. After Glasgow, he'll fly straight to Eugene, Oregon in America for the World Junior Championships. Those happen from August 5th to 9th. That's where he wants to win the 200-meter title just like Bolt did in 2002.
And Kerley's out of the blocks well again today. Fred Kerley is already into the lead. DeAndre Swint running well at 8, but here comes Kerley, and look at this massive margin. Fred Kerley, 9:76.
Fred Kerley was on top of the world. He was the fastest man alive, a world champion sprinter who could run 100 meters in just 9.76 seconds. That's faster than you can blink 10 times. He won medals at the Olympics. He beat the best runners on the planet. And he said he wanted to break the most famous record in all of sports, Usain Bolt's world record. But then everything fell apart, and what he did next, nobody saw it coming. Let's rewind back to 2022. Fred Kerley just won the World Championship. He beat everyone in Eugene, Oregon. It was the first time in over 30 years that American runners took first, second, and third place. Kerley stood on top of that podium with his teammates, and the whole world was watching. He was only 27 years old, he was getting faster, and he had big dreams.
Far side, 9.79, hang on, I'll say that again, 9.79.
After that race, Kerley told reporters something bold. He said breaking Usain Bolt's world record was very realistic. Now, Bolt's record is 9.58 seconds. Nobody has come close to that time since 2009. Only 2 other runners in history have even gotten under 9.7 seconds. But Kerley believed he could do it. He said, if they can do it, then why not us? I've got to continue to train right, eat right, sleep right. These small things will help me to get to the bigger goals down the line. Kerley wasn't just some guy talking big. He had already run 9.76 seconds. That made him the 6th fastest person in history. And here's the crazy part. He ran 9.76 and then 9.77 just 2 hours later at the same track meet. The man was a machine. He even talked to Usain Bolt on social media sometimes. Kerley said, he put the bar up there for us to go and attack it. He's got the bar, we're just trying to get there. Everything seemed perfect. Kerley was winning races. He was making money, he had big sponsors, he was going to the Olympics again. The future looked bright,